Morning. Afternoon, sorry. Due to popular demand, here we are back again in the studio, and I've got a couple of ideas for those of you who are wanting to sort of pick up ideas about painting. But I thought before I stick the phone to the beam with my industrial strength Velcro, I'll just give you a quick look round my materials because I know people are interested in the paints and the paper. So this is where it all takes place. I always have scraps of scraps of paper so I can do tests of colour. And I use quite a few different types of paper, but they're all rough surface. Like you can see, it's quite a rough surface with a texture. And there's a different type of paper. And there's a different one again that's quite light. Now the paints, I use artist quality watercolour paints, and mostly the paint I use, I'm trying to find, is Winsor and Newton artist quality, and I use these lovely great big sort of porcelain containers with them in. But for the last year I've been using something called Ludlow pigment paint. It's just very, very heavy on the pigment and hardly any of the binding material or the gum arabic. So that's Ludlow. They're lovely. And what I do is I get a knife and I scoop it out of the jar and put it into the little containers. So there are my brushes. There's my water. It's a bit grimy. There's some green that I've got ready. Lovely, lovely daffodils. And I think I'll see if I can... If it drops off, it'll be a shame, but... Right. And will you let me know if you can't actually see the painting? Because I think I just need to try and get this right. Anyway, whenever I do any painting with children, I always say, so if I was painting something white, like a white duck, how would I do that? And they look at all the paints and they say white paint, some of the sort of not so bright ones, and then there's usually one bright spark who'll say, maybe you just leave it behind. So I better get my specs on because I can't really see very much without them. So I think I'll just give you an idea how I might approach a white subject like a white duck. Can you actually see? Can you see the paper? If not, I don't know. What would I do? Put it. So just for fun, if I was painting one of my Indian runner ducks, and they're sort of quite long, stringy ducks that run along, and they're very, very upright, and they have like this bright beak. So that's like, there's the start, there's the beak, and then this is like my massive brush. This is my very, very favourite brush, and I think I'll use... You can see, great. Mary Ann Ray, we've got some really quite illustrious people watching today, and not only that, but some of them have actually attempted some painting themselves, and they're very, very good. I don't know whether you can see, but this is like a really sort of simple way of making this duck appear out of nowhere. Obviously, I know what they're like, so I've got like a lifetime of looking at them and drawing them. I'll just show you where we're at. How you can see it's beginning to come together. What I'm going to do now is get my the brush I was just using before, a little bit of sort of orange, and just like put the little ducky feet in. and then carry on blocking out the background, just sort of carefully avoiding all the bits I want to leave behind, which then reveals our little cute Indian runner duck. And as you can see, it's a lady runner duck because she hasn't got a curly tail. And I have to say, we've got some really beautiful ducks at the moment. They're not Indian runners, they're more Aylesbury types, so they're sort of quite fat. And one of them has turned into an attack duck. I'll be walking down the garden and I'll hear this sort of thundering sound behind me, and one of the male ducks has just taken to charging along behind anything that doesn't like the look of, and that includes me, the dogs, Fifey, the guinea fowl, the chickens. But when you turn round and show it that you mean business, it tends to sort of go off again. So I know it's very, very stylised and very simple, but that is how you paint white things. You leave it behind. Now, if I wasn't really very as confident at knowing what the shape of the duck is, I might, rather than just do it like that, I would do something slightly different, and that's just to get a very, very light wash. Technical term, when you're painting with watercolour, a layer or one sort of layer of painting is called a wash. So I've just got a terribly, terribly watery bit of paint made up. I could just very, very simply just, and very, very light, so you can hardly even see the duck. Paint it, and then when that's dry, when the bill and the feet are dry, then go around the edge and do the background. And obviously that's terribly, terribly simple, but some paintings I've done, I've had maybe trees in the background or some sky, and you could do the background in a really pale wash and then build it up, and so that you get maybe the trees or the fields or the hills that you want. But that's how you do white. Another thing which I thought might be quite fun to do is just to give you an idea about how I might paint something from the landscape, because every window I look out of here, we've got hills and trees and sheep and stone walls, and something that always I find fascinating are those hawthorn hedges that sort of used to be there, but they've all got a bit straggly and overgrown, and you can just about make them out. And I love to look at them, and I like to paint them. And it took a while to work out how I was going to do it, so we'll just do that. Has anybody got any questions? I would love that duck for my kitchen. Is it for sale? No. God, I had a piece of paper with things I was going to say. Here we go. Somebody said, can we have a look round, see your toilet? Dogs? Nope. Lambs? No. You're only going to see what I want you to see. Right, so let's just say, I know it's really, really, it's got a bit messy, but it doesn't matter. So if I just give an idea, just of the maybe colours of the hills, and I really like to blend colours together. So we turn it the other way up, and you just have to imagine that's a hill and the skyline. Right. As I say, this is oh. Keep your kit on. Well, I'll keep my kit on for now, but later on today, guess what I'm doing? Go on, guess. Right, so I've just got a little bit of a dark colour, one of my favourite colours, which isn't really. It's Payne's Grey, which is quite a dark, wild swimming correct. That's what I'll be doing. So I've tipped my brush onto the side and just sort of made what looks a little bit like a mess. This is very good fun, you're going to like this. Well, I've got this quite disgusting brush here and the top comes off it, and I've had it for years and years and there's nothing like it. And I'm going to put that in that same dark colour. And then I do this thing, get my little finger and just spatter paint in there. And it's really, really satisfying. So we're there, and it maybe isn't looking like all that much just yet, but the next thing I'll do is same brush, and I hope you can see, I'm just going to what I'm doing is I'm just putting a little bit of paint on and then gently blowing, and it also sort of gives the impression of the not tree trunks, but you know what I mean, the branches. You end up getting paint everywhere when I do this. You see how you just sort of get a sense of those trees on the skyline, a bit of the colour of the hill. Really, really simple, but something to try, I hope. Right, what was the other thing? Yes, now then. I don't know whether you're like me, but my diary is just completely empty now. Where's that diary? Diaries, it's completely empty, there's nothing in it. Well, it just so happens that I've got some diaries here left over, and I don't want any money for them, but if anybody thinks they'd like one, there's loads of room, and you can do your little, you can use all the empty space like to just write a diary. So instead of writing down the things that you were going to do and appointments and stuff, you could write down perhaps what you did and how you felt. And I used to keep a diary when I was young, and I've still got them and look back on them. So if anybody would like one, just send me a private message with your address and I'll stick one in the post. And as I say, I don't want any money for them, but or if you know any children who might find the paintings inspiring and might just like one, I'd rather give them away than take them to the recycling place. So that's them. That was my daughter Ruth suggested that. So yeah, I had intended to take a little bit more care over my appearance today, but I have been along to the next door farm after spending a period of time in self-isolation so that we were all safe and clear from the virus. I've been along helping out with the lambs, so if there's any grey in my hair, it's actually sheep hair, because I've tubed 4 lambs, I've helped cut, number and put out a few, I've stuck a few lambs onto the automatic milker, and I've done, anyone out there who knows about sheep, we've got a few big tits, so force the lambs to feed that. And really I just got back in time to do a little bit of glazing the greenhouse with Fifey and then straight in. And it's been 1/4 of an hour, so I think that's plenty. I don't want to bore you. So yeah, tomorrow we'll maybe try something different, and I'd love a diary. Yeah, just carry on messaging me your address, and hope you have a great day, and maybe I'll send a photograph from my wild swimming in the river. Actually, I'm going to take you up there and show you. Can you see through the river, through the window where the river is down there, where the trees are? That's where I'll be swimming later on. Right, okay, have a great day. Bye.